Imagine this. You're walking along a quiet beach just after sunrise. The sea is almost still, and the first light filters through old olive trees, scattering patches of gold across the path. A gentle breeze carries the scent of rosemary and salt. Beside the trail, a small green stone rests between the rocks. While Aventurine actually occurs in several shades, from warm orange to soft blues, it is this classic green variety, the most common and beloved of them all, that hold the quiet magic of this morning. It isn't the brightest thing you see. It isn't trying to stand out, yet somehow your eyes return to it. This is the energy of green aventurine. Many people see this crystal as a symbol of opportunity, fresh beginnings, and quiet optimism. Yet perhaps its message isn't about waiting for life to become different. Perhaps it's about noticing that life has been quietly inviting you forward all along. Life doesn't always announce when a new chapter begins. Sometimes it begins so gently that we almost miss it. You take a different road home for no particular reason. A book catches your eye. You find yourself saying yes to something you would once have ignored. Nothing dramatic has happened, yet something feels lighter. It's as though your attention has quietly shifted, not toward what is missing, but toward what is possible. But there's another side to this. Aventurine is often connected with optimism. That word can sometimes sound unrealistic, as though optimism means pretending everything is perfect. But perhaps it means something much quieter. Imagine standing beside the sea on a cloudy morning. You know the sun is somewhere beyond the clouds. You don't have to see it to believe it's there. Perhaps optimism is a little like that. Not denying today's uncertainty, simply leaving room for tomorrow's possibilities. Nature seems to understand this. Every sunrise begins long before the sun appears above the horizon. This is where the meaning begins to shift. Aventurine is also connected with courage, not the kind that makes headlines, the quieter kind. The courage to send one message, to accept one invitation, to take one small step before you know exactly where it will lead. Think about walking into the sea. The first step is always the coldest. The second feels easier. A few moments later, you're swimming. Nothing about the water changed. You did. Perhaps courage isn't waiting until fear disappears. Perhaps it's discovering that curiosity is just a little stronger. And this is the part many people overlook. Aventurine has long been associated with growth. Yet growth is rarely something we witness while it's happening. An olive tree doesn't become taller in an afternoon. The vines covering an old stone wall don't suddenly appear. Day after day, they seem almost unchanged, until one morning you realize how much they've become. People often grow the same way. One conversation changes your perspective. One difficult season teaches patience. One ordinary day becomes the beginning of a different way of seeing yourself. Not because everything changed overnight, because small moments quietly accumulated. There is something deeper here. Many people also connect this crystal with opportunity. We often imagine opportunity arriving like an unexpected knock at the door. But perhaps it usually arrives much more quietly. You meet someone by chance. You notice a path you've never walked before. You begin a hobby simply because it feels interesting. Looking back years later, those ordinary moments often become turning points. Not because they looked important at the time, but because you were ready to notice them. Two people can walk the same beach. One sees only sand, the other notices shells shaped by years of waves. The beach hasn't changed, only their attention has. But perhaps the real message is something quieter. Aventurine is often connected with confidence. We sometimes imagine confidence as something people either have or don't have. Yet perhaps confidence grows like learning to ride a bicycle. The first few meters feel uncertain. Then balance begins to appear. Not because the road became easier, but because your body slowly learned what once felt unfamiliar. Perhaps confidence isn't a feeling we wait for. It's something that quietly grows after we've already begun. Like sunlight slowly warming the stones beside the sea. No sudden moment, just gentle change. There is another beautiful layer to Aventurine. It also carries themes of abundance. That word makes us think about having more success, more opportunities, more possessions. Yet nature offers a different picture. A fig tree doesn't compare itself to the olive tree beside it. The sea never wonders if yesterday's waves were better. The wildflowers blooming along a cliff don't compete for attention. Everything simply becomes what it was meant to become. Perhaps abundance begins there, not in collecting more, but in noticing how much already surrounds us. A peaceful morning, a kind conversation, the warmth of sunlight after a cool breeze, the sound of waves returning to the shore. Life has always been offering these moments. Sometimes we're simply too busy to notice them. Perhaps Aventurine isn't really about chasing a different life. Perhaps it's about becoming more awake to the life that's already unfolding. Curiosity notices, optimism stays open, courage takes one small step, growth happens quietly, opportunity appears where attention goes. Confidence grows with experience. Abundance begins with appreciation. Each one flows naturally into the next. Like the sea meeting the shore, wave after wave. Never rushing, always moving forward. There are seasons when life invites us to rest. There are seasons when it quietly invites us to begin again. Neither needs to be forced. Aventurine seems to celebrate those gentle moments when possibility starts returning, when the horizon feels just a little wider, when tomorrow seems just a little brighter. Not because every answer has appeared, but because your heart has quietly become willing to keep exploring. So the next time you see Aventurine catching the light, maybe it isn't reminding you that something extraordinary is about to happen. Maybe it's simply inviting you to notice the quiet possibilities that have been beside you all along. The conversation you haven't started, the path you haven't walked, the idea you almost ignored. Sometimes a new chapter doesn't begin with one dramatic moment. Sometimes it begins with one small moment of curiosity. One gentle yes, one step forward. So, I'll leave you with this. What quiet possibility has been waiting patiently for you to notice it? And what would happen if you did? If this gave you something to think about, stay for the next crystal story. A crystal, a message, a new perspective.